Sorry to say that. Only 1/3 of people who start investing will stick through it and become successful. So when we start talking about due diligence, here's your checklist. Online. So you can do this for where? Right here. You can do it right here. You can do it in the parking lot. You can do it at McDonald's. You can do it at Cava's. You can do it anywhere on your lunch break. You with me on this? You could sit in your car and you can start doing all of this on a property. You can do a Zillow research. You can do the rental section, see where rentals are in the area. Now remember, we're doing research on rental properties right now. I could go to Zillow Rents. I could pull up the neighborhood, see what all is rent. I could go to Rent-O-Meter, which is what I live on. I love Rent-O-Meter. It's a paid service. I think it's like, it's $99 for the whole year. And this is management companies use this software, right? It's the same data that they pull from. But what I love more about this than anything else is if you really understand comping properties, if you really understand how to do value of a property, it's always based on square foot sales price. It's never, well, they sold it for $450. They sold it for $475. I should be able to sell mine for $4. No. What was their square footage and what was your square footage, right? It's always square foot. Guess what? Rentals are done the exact same way. Rentals are priced the exact same way. This is why we use Rent-O-Meter, because when you pull all the rental comps, it'll say, this one rented for 90 cents a square foot. This one rented for 98. This one rented for $1 a square foot. This one rented for 98 a square foot. The more you learn that by sector of the market, the faster you'll be able to talk to somebody and say, John, what's the square footage of the property? It'll rent for $1,400 a month. Because if I know the zip code or the area that property's in, I already know because I've looked at so many of these price per square foot. Now, I'll just give you a heads up. Our market ranges from 80 cents to $1.30 a square foot. That's our range here, okay? And so you go up into Nashville, Lord have mercy. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. It was like $1.25 to $3 a square foot for rental up there. I was like, they found me some bird dogs. I'm sorry, look at that. But the reason being is I think, what was the gentleman asking the question? He's from Nashville. Their rents are still going up over there, and that's probably why he said that. And so we're just not in Kansas, right? We're in Alabama. So Zillow comps. This is all free ways right now, right? Comping software. We use a lot of our own comping software. Now, I could easily call up Debbie and say, hey, can I get a CMA report on a property? Now, let me pre-warn you right now. Anybody know what it feels like to get ghosted? No, just me? Nobody wants to admit it, right? Well, ghosting means is when you call somebody all the time and they stop calling you back, right? Well, if you start calling an agent all the time asking for a CMA report and never give them a business or never close a deal with them, guess what they're going to do? They're going to stop calling you back, okay? So don't abuse that method right there. We can use things like what? Valley MLS. We can use services like Movado. We can use services like Redfin, and we can get real close to see what transactions have closed in that area and which ones are active, so we can get an idea of what is the price per square foot in that area. We also look at pendings. Why do I look at pendings? These three are so vital. Solds tell us what? Solds tell us value. Let's just be very clear on that, okay? Because somebody said to me the other day, well, what's the value of it? Well, it's whatever someone will pay for it. I don't care what you think it's worth. If no one will pay you what you want, then is that the value? No, it's not the value, right? That's like my son the other day came in with a baseball card. He's like, Dad, I got a card. It's worth $3,000. He's like, that's what it's worth. I'm like, if someone will pay you. Yeah, that's what it tells you that it was on eBay for, but how long has it been on eBay? Oh, we looked up 400 days, so that's obviously not the value. Great, right? That's just what they want for it. So don't say yours is going to be worth the same thing, right? You got to understand value. That's what but solds tell us what the actual value of properties in that area are going for based on buyer demand. Now, actives, I'm not so much, I kind of take it with the wind with actives because we see some very outrageous things that hit the market. But what I really look at actives for is what am I competing with? What am I competing with? Or do they have granite? You know, what kind of floors did they do? Are they using the gray thing? I'm over gray, man. I got put on this gray thing like 5 years ago. I was always a dapper tan. And you know what's so funny? I was stuck on dapper tan and I got convinced to go to gray. Now I'm going in the house. People were like, oh, it needs to be neutral. We're going tan. I threw away like 40 gallons of dapper tan because everybody told me gray was in, right? I went in the house the other day and somebody painted their cabinets green and they're like, no, green's the new thing. I'm like, green? I'm not painting my walls green. Business green. Dude, I can't listen. But look, you walk in my house, everything's bright. And I just got my walls painted gray. So, but I'm like brown couches, brown floors. I guess I'm a man though. I guess that's what that means. So anyways, actives tells me what my competition is doing. It also tells me how much could I list below them? Could I put a better quality property on the market for less than them, right? The reason that I look at pending is because now it tells me the fluctuation in the market. So hear me when I say this. This is crucial. Luke, you follow me? You're on the front row. I share my DNA with everybody on the front row, okay? Do you understand? Okay. So I was just being clear on that one. So it's powerful DNA though, all right? So the reason that I like actives is this, is that let's say I'm seeing the reason I like pendings is this. Let's say I look at all the actives and I'm seeing them, they're all on the market for 200 a square foot. 200 a square foot. Everybody's putting their property at 200 square foot. But then I go look at all the solds and I see that the solds in the past had all sold for 200 a square foot. Well, that's great. But then I look at pendings and I notice all the pendings are going pending for 190, 195 a square foot. What does that tell me? There's been a shift in the market. And if I went into this blindly, then I would have went to list and then I would have got knocked down 10% or 5%, and that could have been half of my profits. You with me on this, guys? So you got to be careful when you're looking at your comps and your due diligence. I always go to Google Maps. I'm always like, let me just look around. I'm looking to see like, well, what's the neighborhood look like before I even go out there? A lot of times I do all this and I don't even need to go to the house to make an offer. If I can get the seller to send me some pictures, I'm good. I can usually come into a pretty close 5% range of what it's going to cost to fix it up, unless it's something that is unknown. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Other things, I'm not going to go under the house, I can tell you that. But you got to start looking at FEMA maps. A lot of the properties you guys are looking at and that you're going to be buying, unbeknownst to you, they're all sitting in a flood zone, especially in South Huntsville. Tons of flood zones, right? And here's the worst part. The flood zone could just be the corner of the backyard. And guess what? It's classified as a flood zone. Now, it could be a 1% rule. You know what a 1% rule is? It's got a 1% chance of flooding during a 30-year mortgage term. 1% during a 30-year mortgage term. But do you know what will scare your buyer to death? When they pull it up, they go, it's their flood zone. They call their insurance guy and they go, oh, the property's in a flood zone, quote me. So the insurance guy quotes it at what? That it's a full flood zone property. And they're like, oh, we can't afford that. We dealt with this on, what was the name of that? Forget the name of it. But anyways, too many of them. But we had to go back to the seller or the buyer and say, look, no, it's a 1%. You need to go re-quote this at a 1%. Drastically changes the quote on the property, right? But it's not because the seller or the new buyer doesn't know, right? And a lot of times agents just aren't, they're just new. Let's just be nice, right? They don't go do all this research. So you better do it so that you can defend what? Your sale, right? And your buy ahead of time, okay? Insurance quotes, this is important. Neighborhood Scout, I always look at Neighborhood Scout. It kind of gives us a crime rate. What's going on? Is there burglaries, murders? Is there child abductions? What's going on over there? Rental market growth. And then we always run what's called a cash-on-cash return worksheet. That's all of our online due diligence, right? It's not like Oh, just look at some comps and make an offer, is it? Like, we're in risk management here, guys. I mean, I'm not here to just say, oh, go look at these 3 things and you're all winners. That's not true. Sorry to say that. Only 1/3 of people who start investing will stick through it and become successful. 1/3. Look to your left. Look to your right. One of you will make it. One of you will make it.